All right, everybody, this is 1.1 Nets and Drawings for visualizing geometry practice. All right, so for numbers 1, 2, and 3, what they want you to do is identify each figure as two-dimensional or three-dimensional. Then you could also just identify the figure in general, okay? So feel free to pause, write your answers, and resume the video when you want to check your accuracy. Number 1, okay? It has no depth to it. It's flat, so that means it's 2D. Okay, and this is a 2D circle. Number 2, you could see it has depth given those dashed lines, okay? So we know this is 3D, three-dimensional. And this is just a rectangular prism. And if you look at number 3, again, I see depth thanks to the dashed lines near the bottom. This is 3D, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this, right? This is a cone. If you take a look at number 4 and 5, what they want you to do is draw a net and then list what 2D shapes you would need to make each one. Okay, so remember, a net is when you take a three-dimensional figure, you unfold it into a flat two-dimensional figure. We did that yesterday in our previous lesson with cubes and some other figures. So we know, again, we have a rectangular prism here. So I'm going to start with a rectangle. Okay, that rectangle is going to be the bottom one right here. I'm shading it in. Okay, so here's the rectangle. Now, what we have to realize is that we have one rectangle, which is the base. 2 and 3 are the walls. And what I mean by that is this wall. Okay. And then the back wall, which would be this one. Okay. So I need to add 2 more walls to my unfolding and another one for the roof. Okay. So here's how we're going to do that. 1, 2, 3. Now remember, these drawings, these nets don't have to be perfect, just as accurate as you can draw them freehand. Now, we would think we'd be finished, but we still have these 2 smaller rectangles on the ends. So we're going to add those right here. And there's your net. We're going to do the same thing for this pyramid on the right-hand side. Now, if you take a look at the pyramid, you have 1 triangle, 2 triangles, 3 triangles, and 4 triangles. So 4 total triangles, and the base of this pyramid is a rectangle. So again, I'm going to start out with that rectangular base, and we'll go from there. We said we have 4 triangles, and if we unfolded this pyramid and made it flat, we would have 2 pointing this way, and the other 2 pointing in this direction. So there is your pyramid as a net. And now we just need to list, all the different shapes. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 rectangles. And 1, 2 squares. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. And 1 rectangle. Okay, the next part. It says, name a three-dimensional figure that can be formed from each net. Well, this is a little on the trickier side, okay? we can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different rectangles here. And we also have 2 pentagons or 5-sided figures. So if we take our pentagon, and forgive me for these pictures, okay, and I added depth to them, meaning we drew up, and then I had another pentagon down here. Okay. All right. So there is your 3D figure, and this could be called, or it would be considered, a pentagonal prism. Number 7 is a little on the easier side. You have this fan-looking shape right here. And then you have a ball, or a circle, I should say. Well, you know what that's going to look like. That's going to be a cone. Number 8 looks very similar to number 6, so we know it's a prism. Except this time the base is triangles. Okay, so we have a triangular prism. Number 9 kind of looks almost like a sun, but in the middle here we have a 6-sided figure as the base, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triangles. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and draw this 6-sided figure. All right, so there's the base, and then all these triangles are actually going to create, and I don't even know if I could draw this one, a pyramid. Okay, and our base here is that hexagon. Okay, so this is a hexagonal pyramid. All right, this time you have 2 circles and a rectangle in the center. Well, that's a little easier for us. Okay, and we all know this as a cylinder. And for number 11, we dealt with a lot of these yesterday. And we have a cube. All right. A little difficult, I know. The drawings can be tough, which is why we really try to mimic our drawings using dot paper. So for these, we need to make an isometric drawing of each of the figures given. All right, so this is basically exactly what we did at the end of yesterday's lesson. If you take a look, I'm going to start out with a cube. Okay. Well, actually, if you take a look, we have 2 cubes side by side. So this cube here is going to be our top one. So I need to draw what looks like at least 3, and there's potentially one underneath, but we wouldn't have to worry about that. So here's our next one. third cube, and the fourth cube. And there's your shape. For the next one, I'm going to start out with my cube all the way at the end. And we're going to want to save some room, so I'm going to start all the way on this side. So there's our first cube. Now the second one is taller, so it actually goes up from here. Okay. Your third one is shorter again, so take a look at what happens here. We get short. Oops. And then we get taller again. Hold on, guys. We're going to do this one over. There we go. Okay, and your final cube, again, it's on the shorter side, and there it is. Sorry about that. Okay, for 12 and 13 again, we have those blocks, we're stacking them up. So the first thing I'm going to do is start out with this one out in front, and we'll build from there. All right, so there's our cube out in front. Now, what we need to do is get to the next cube that we're going to be able to draw, which would be this one. Okay, so I need to come across. Let's see if I can change the color up. I need to come across here. Okay, and then I could draw my next cube, which is the one we were trying to get to. Okay, so it's starting to come together. Except we know we have to go up a little higher because there are two cubes in the middle here stacked on top of each other. So here's our red cubes. Okay. Now the third one's all the way in the back. We have three stacked in a row. The bottom one is hidden, and the other two will be visible for us. Come up, go up again, and there you go. Number 13, probably going to be our most difficult one in terms of isometric drawings. All right, so again, I'm going to start out with that one right out in the front, and we'll build from there. I'm going to move this one all the way to the side just in case. Don't want to run out of room. So there's your front cube. Right behind that cube, you got two more stacked up. These ones. Okay, what you're going to do is draw up one, up 2, and up 3. Oops, not up 3. Okay, square it off at the top. And there's your blue ones. All right. So now I need to work across. And let's make this orange. And I'm going to build these orange cubes right here. Okay, so what we need to do is here's one orange cube. But your second orange cube is also going to come across. So you're not going to be able to see this portion. So I'm going to come across again. And there's your 2 cubes. Now the final portion is a 3 cube stack right here. All right, and what you're gonna do is from this corner actually, so let's erase this. We're going to go up 1, 2. Here's your first cube. And again, I'm going to continue to erase because pieces of these cubes are not going to be visible when they're stacked. And there's your 3 cubes. Okay? So a little difficult for sure, but not impossible. Just take it slow. If you need to erase, make sure you erase, and then you can continue. Number 14, what they want you to make is an orthographic drawing for each structure. What orthographic means is the top view, the front view, and the side view. Okay. If I looked at figure number 14 from the sky, if I look down from the sky on this figure, it would be a rectangle, a square, and another rectangle. If I look at it from the front, which is essentially what we're looking at here. So actually, hold on. Here was our top view. We drew it in blue. Our front view, let's do it in red. So if I look from the front, I'm going to see this. Okay, and then from the right side, let me erase these. That would solely be from this direction. So you're only going to see these 2 squares. So that's just going to be just like this. Okay. Feel free to pause and try 15 on your own. All right, and resume it when you're ready. The top view of 15, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares. Okay, 4 in a row. And this one right here is right there. So there's your top view of this figure. The front view seems to be the easiest for everyone. You have a square, a rectangle, a square, another square, and a third square. So your front view is a square, a rectangle, a square, and a square. So there's your front view. And your right side view like we did before, strictly coming from this angle. So you're going to see 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So it's 2 squares and another square on the side. Okay. It says use the orthographic drawing to make isometric drawings of the structure. The easiest way to go about this is to use the front view first. Okay? The front view has a square and a rectangle. So let's draw that square and the rectangle. 1. Okay, so there's your front view. The top view has a dashed line, which means it has depth, so we can't see it, right? But it's just going to be another rectangle. So let's see. Here's our top view. Okay. As you can see, we're starting to build our shape. And the right side view is just 2 squares. Easy enough. And there you go. So there's your figure. Number 17, again, start with that front view. It's the easiest place to start. Okay? So here's my front view. Your top view is 4 squares. So, since we're looking from the top, that must mean that I have 1 square, 2 squares, 3 squares, and 4 squares. And from the side, whoops. Again, we have 4 squares. And if we look from the side, we would have 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, and 4 there. So there's your figure. Okay. Now this last one, 18 and 19, what they're doing is they're giving us descriptions of these, 3D figures that we're supposed to be creating on this dot paper. All right. The first one says we have a triangular prism that is 3 units high. Its bases are right triangles with a height of 2 and a base of 3. So the sides of this figure are right triangles. So let's start there. A height of 2 and a base of 3. 1, 2, and a base of 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, although there are no dots to connect this, we know that it's a triangle. Okay? I can come across. And again, I'm going to do that height of 2 and a base of 3. And there's your ramp. Number 19 is a square prism that is 4 units high. The bases are squares with side units of 2. So let's start with the base of a square with a side unit of 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, from the sides, right, it says the height is 4 units. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, the top is also a square of 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And we could bring our line down the middle and give this a nice 3D figure that it should be. Okay? I know this unit is a lot different from our algebra review. It's a new way of thinking, and we may have never done math like this before. But this is the start of geometric thinking, visualizing geometry, and we're going to move on to some more concrete items after this first chapter. Okay. All right. Thank you for watching. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email or Google Voice.